Hi, I'm Dr. Michelle Pedicola of Second Chance Secrets, and today the subject is intimacy. The subject of the whole month is relationships because, of course, we have Valentine's Day in February, and so we're talking about relationships. How do you create more intimacy in your relationships? Now, it's not like you want to have intimacy in every relationship. But there are some relationships which I call bonds, and that's where you want the intimacy. You want that opportunity to be completely yourself, to be completely authentically candid. But we have fears about that. A lot of us maybe you grew up feeling that it was not safe to be yourself. That by being yourself, you might subject yourself to criticism. Hi, thank you for joining. We're talking about intimacy. How would you like intimacy to show up in your life? What would that mean? What would it feel like to have more intimacy? Would it mean having more sex? We often associate sex with intimacy. Well, to be honest, I can't imagine anything more intimate than getting together with somebody in that way. I mean, it's really the closest you can ever get. So part of intimacy is allowing yourself to be touched by somebody. That's intimacy. And it can be physically touched, somebody actually being able to go into your space and touch you, but also emotionally touched. That's intimacy also, is allowing somebody's feelings and their needs and their experience to touch you. So it's physical touch and it's emotional touch. So how do you open up to that? Well, one of the ways is that we simply spend more time, but that's not enough. The other way is when we open up to receiving, because intimacy is partly about receiving. Now, I know I'm a giver, and it's really easy for me to give. But that doesn't necessarily mean intimacy. Oftentimes it means simply trying to manipulate for attention in one way or the other. Manipulate for approval and manipulate for love. But that's not intimacy. Intimacy is being able to be yourself. Now, I posted yesterday a little quip on intimacy, which is allowing yourself to be touched or being able to touch somebody else. And somebody pointed out to me in the comments that intimacy begins with yourself. And she's so right. If you are not intimate with yourself, if you do not allow yourself to be cared for, to be nurtured, to be nourished, to be loved, then it's really hard to be intimate with somebody else, because trust is at the bottom of it. Being able to trust somebody that they won't hurt you. That's intimacy, is being able to trust that somebody else won't hurt you, that you can be yourself and it's okay. Now, I believe that part of our whole objective in this lifetime is to become more authentically ourselves, which means actually developing intimacy or that connection, that bonding with many people. Being comfortable with who you are allows you to get intimate with others. Now let's take a moment and think about where it is that we want intimacy in our lives. Well, certainly with your significant other. You want to be yourself. You want to be able to share what it is that you want, what will please you. Does that sound a little scary? Being able to share what would please you to somebody else, risking that they might be shocked, risking that they might disapprove, risking that they might reject you. That's where the trust comes in. And the trust really begins with yourself as well. When you trust yourself and what you want and what you need, then somebody else's opinion doesn't really matter. When you really believe in yourself, when you care for yourself. That's why intimacy begins with you. Intimacy begins with loving yourself. So I see that you're, hey, now I've got another person. Please post. Tell me what you think intimacy is, or how you would like to have intimacy increase in your life. What would that mean? How would it show up? So for me, sometimes it's being able to receive the affection of my husband. And sometimes I'm busy, and it's like, oh, but to take that moment and pause and allow that intimacy to occur, to take that time. And in order to do that, I have to take time for myself. And if I'm busy all the time trying to please people, or I'm busy all the time trying to get my work done, I'm not giving space for intimacy to happen. I'm not giving that opportunity for somebody to be intimate with me. In fact, I'm so rushing that I might even miss opportunities for there to be intimacy. So how do you invite intimacy in from moment to moment? Well, part of it is that you have to be aware of yourself. That's what they talk about, mindfulness. Mindfulness is being aware of your body and your thoughts. Hey, Sarah, thank you. Thank you for posting that. Yes, trusting yourself and being aware of yourself. And Patricia, oh, thank you for joining. Awesome. How great. So intimacy, yeah, this seems to be a very, very popular topic, especially during this month when we celebrate that intimacy. So we just went through Valentine's Day last Sunday, and we didn't celebrate it because that's not something that my husband and I do. Do I care? Would it be nice to get a little extra? Well, we did have something extra. No cards, but intimacy, yes. And that's what's really important. It isn't about the cards. Hi, Patricia. Thank you for joining. Thank you. And please post what you think intimacy is or any questions you have, because I invite you to engage. So we had a very intimate time in bed on Valentine's. Isn't that what you want? Isn't that enough? Do we need Hallmark cards to prove that there is intimacy? No, that's icing. That's extra. The intimacy is when you allow yourself to be vulnerable, to be totally yourself, to share what you want, and to give that other person the power to please you. And at the same time, as you take care of yourself, as you start to be intimate with yourself, you actually are able to show up for somebody else, to find out what they want, to have that curiosity, not as a way to manipulate them, but actually as to give them pleasure, to give them that joy, that experience that, hey, that you really, really love them, that you really care about them. So I want to talk about intimacy in some other ways. So that's the first, is like spousal or partner or significant other. Of course, you also want to be intimate with your family members. Some of them, maybe not all. But, you want to be real, which reminds me of an interaction that I had with my sister. I called her on the phone and we had a long conversation, and then she said there's no pause. There aren't many pauses. I forget what she said, but I somehow thought she meant menopause or periods. Oh, that's right. She said there are no periods. And so I got totally confused because I've been over my periods forever, and certainly she has. What is she talking about? And she meant that there wasn't enough pauses in the conversation, that she wanted to say something. Well, I was abashed. I was mortified. I was insulted. And we got off the phone pretty quickly. Now, intimacy is my willingness to be vulnerable with her and go back and say, you know what? You could have said that a little bit more caringly so that I could feel intimate instead of feeling like I need to withdraw. And I haven't done that yet, but I will, because it's part of my lesson in reaching out to the people I care about and telling them what I need in a way that enables them to hear me. Yes, that's going to reduce the likelihood that I get flashback or smashback, but also because I want to make sure that they know that I care about them, that I do care. So maybe you know that Mercury is in retrograde, and it's very possible that there will be miscommunications. So I had another miscommunication with an associate of mine. I'm a Toastmaster, and we're in this big, huge contest, and he's on my team. And he didn't step up in the way that I hoped, not expected, hoped. And I made a comment in an email that he took offense to. Well, I have ironed that out, but it's part of learning how to communicate and never assuming, which I didn't, that our communications land. But I have a tendency to over-communicate. And I was pulling back to see, well, how much communication does a person need? And it's always a trial and error. And it's okay to make mistakes. And soothe the ruffled feathers and proceed. So communication, well, intimacy with your associates is also important. Thank you. With your associates, with the people that you work with, because you care about them and because it's part of our relationship. Remember at the beginning I said something about bonding. So we bond with different kinds of people. We bond with our partners. We bond with certain members of our family. And when you bond with somebody, you actually open yourself up for hurt because you're vulnerable, because you are yourself, because you open yourself up to caring about what those people think about you. So how do you navigate that? Well, yeah, thank you. You navigate that by being intimate with yourself, supporting yourself, strengthening yourself, making yourself feel confident and assured of yourself so that you don't get tripped up. That when somebody says something to you, like my sister saying, there aren't a lot of periods in this conversation, or my associate says, I was really offended by what you said. To see it from their point of view and not take it personally. To have that self-confidence and self-love that you can reach out to somebody else and see their point of view and want to heal that breach. Because breaches happen, especially when you're experimenting. And what I was experimenting with was not over-communicating, was how little communication can I get away with and get the results I want? How can I trust that somebody else is going to show up and do what I hope they do? And then, if they don't, then step in and say, could you do this? And now that's where I made a mistake, because I didn't communicate directly with them and say, you know what? Instead of answering the person who was complaining, I should have gone back to that person and said, you know what? I think we need a little more communication. Could you do such and such? Whoa. But hey, life is about experimentation and being willing to sometimes get hurt. What actual steps do you need to take to strengthen yourself, Michelle? Patricia, really, really great question. Well, you need to get intimate with yourself. You need to take care of your needs. And one of those needs is downtime. One of those needs is allowing yourself to relax, to take moments, to take pauses. Yes, to take pauses, to not be pushing all the time, to not be running pell-mell forward. And the other thing is to give yourself the love that you need so that you're not desperate for the love of other people. When you feel good in yourself and you feel good about what you do and you feel good about who you are, yes, Patricia, you truly need to create that downtime. It's so true. When you do that, and here's why. Okay, I'm going to get a little biological here. Sorry, I'm an Aquarian, and so we're sort of scientists at heart and in our minds. So the body needs its rest, and when you push it all the time, it gets nervous, it gets agitated, it gets overwrought, it gets overwhelmed, and then you make more mistakes. Thank you, Sarah. It was great to have you here. Yes, so you get overwhelmed, and then you make mistakes and you say the wrong thing. And that's exactly what happened. I felt bad that this person had misunderstood, especially as helpers. We're always so concerned about helping others so much we forget to take time out. That is so true, Patricia. And it really begins with you. You know, for many years, I was working around death and loss and caregiving. And one of the most important messages I sent to caregivers is you have to take care of yourself. Because if you don't take care of yourself and you get sick, who's going to take care of the person you're caregiving? So you have to take care of yourself first. You cannot love, you cannot give to other people on empty. Thank you. I love the hearts. Oh my God, that's so beautiful. Thank you so much. So how do you do that? You need to okay, here's the problem. If you are a helper, if you are a pleaser, if you are a doer for other people, which I know a lot of people in the coaching industry are like that because that's what we do. We need to treat our bodies as another person on our list of people to please. Yes, that's it. We need to treat this body as another person on our list. And that means putting them in your calendar. Put this body in your calendar. Now, I do that to a certain extent. Every morning, I give myself about 2.5 hours of personal time. Of course, I have to get up at 5:30 in the morning to do that. But I do yoga, I take a shower, I massage my body with oil, I meditate, I write, all for myself. And then I go and take a walk. And this is all for self-care. I also take a walk every afternoon. So I walk twice a day. Here's why. This body is my only vehicle in this life. And if I don't take care of it, it will let me down. So I treat this as a precious person in my life. I make sure that I eat well, don't eat too much crap, eat healthy food, and get exercise. And at my age, exercise is the most important thing. Well, it's important all the time. Did you know that your immune system does not function, the lymph system does not function unless you get exercise? Because the fluids flow through your body through the contraction of muscles. So take that in. And then get out of your chair and walk around and do some exercise. And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to lift weights, although weightlifting is good, but take a walk. Not only will it get your muscles moving, but it will also take you outside the house, out into the fresh air. And you can see, well, I don't know where you are. You may be in the middle of a snowstorm for all I know. But for me, it's looking at the flowers. I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area, and so we're getting a lot of flowers right now, so I'm very excited about that. But even snow, I love snow. I love walking in the snow. It's so special. It's so invigorating. So you want to stimulate your senses. That's another way of taking care of yourself. To experience what you're doing. When I do yoga in the morning, sometimes I get into this rote thing where I just go run through my yoga. And other times, I will be totally aware. And I will experience the stretch, not as something I'm pushing through, but I'm actually feeling through. And I'm going through and actually feeling the sensation of that. That's mindfulness, is experiencing the stretch and what that feels in your body. So another thing you can do, you're going to laugh at this one. When you take your shower, at the very end, turn the hot water off and experience the cold. Oh, it is so cold. But here's what happens. When you do that, you actually trigger a bunch of survival chemistry in your body that actually increases longevity. Now, I didn't do it this morning, but I will do it again. And when you go outside and it's cold and you feel that shiver, interpret it as a gift to your body, stimulating it to be strong and resilient and flexible and agile. Yes, Patricia, yes, wow, yes. Embrace everything. Embrace the sadness, embrace the joy, embrace the discomfort, embrace the sensations of your life. Because that is mindfulness. That is truly experiencing what this life has to offer. And sometimes it's discomfort, but a lot of times what we do is we close down, we contract around discomfort instead of getting curious. So Patricia, you asked, how else do you take care of yourself? You get curious. You get curious about yourself. You get curious when you get upset. You get curious when you get depressed. And you say, okay, what's going on here? A lot of times, it's just this brain here telling you stupid stuff. I was noticing that the other day. I'm going to reveal something really, really intimate here. Sometimes I have in my mind the assumption that my husband's going to do the wrong thing. What kind of stupid thing is that? So I catch myself and I say, what if I change that thought to he is going to do absolutely the right thing? Not only does it change my mood, take me out of that belief that I'm a victim, but it actually empowers him whether he even knows what I'm thinking. Because when I believe that he's going to do the right thing, he has a lot more opportunity to do the right thing. So please go ahead and post some more questions. I'm running out of material here. I was originally going to do this for 15 minutes, but since you're here, hey, you're back again. Thank you. So since you're here, please post some questions that you have about intimacy. How do you invite intimacy into your relationship if it's lacking? Well, you have to start by taking the initiative. Well, first you have to take care of yourself and make yourself feel not on empty. You need to fill up the tank. And then when you feel good, when you give yourself that hot bath or that lovely walk, or you spend time in the garden or whatever it is that you do, please post what is it you do to make yourself feel really good. Then your cup is full. Now you have what you need to give to your partner. So you come over and you smile and you reach out. Now here's something you really need to remember about men. They are single-focused. So you might have to actually pause and wait until you are in their line of attention. Don't go and interrupt them in the sense of knocking them off of where they're focusing, but giving them time to realize that you're there. So one of my friends and mentors, Rebecca Hall Greider, told a whole group, a whole audience about her cat, who used to come down into the room and she would pose. And then if she didn't get a response, she would chirp. Chirp. And when she got the attention, then she would just walk away. So Rebecca's tried doing this with her husband. She came down the stairs and she posed. And of course, her husband didn't get the attention right away, give her his attention right away, but eventually he did. Pause. Pause before you engage with your partner. Take them in. Experience them. Guaranteed they will feel your attention when you pause and you really look at them and you really take them in. But don't forget to take care of yourself first. come to that situation full, so that if you get rebuffed because they're too busy, they're dealing with, bills or contracts or difficult situations with their family, you won't take it personally. You'll say, oh, maybe another time. What else? Do things, generous things, like bringing a cup of tea and saying, oh, I thought you might like this. These little signs, they really make a huge difference. These little gestures of appreciation. And we forget, especially if you've been in a relationship for as long as I have, which has been over 25 years. So that's a long time. You can get stuck in habit. You need to try new things out, like pausing and taking a pose, dressing up, being loving. And sometimes, as you get older, you need to introduce intimacy. Like, how would you like to make love this morning? Now, I have to admit, I like to make love in the morning on a weekend, because then I know I have a lot of time. Oh, look at that. Yes. I like to do it on the weekend when I know that there's a lot of time. And sometimes we don't get out of bed until like 10 o'clock. And I think that's really one of the best ways to spend my weekend, is with my sweetie in bed, talking, making love, imagining, visioning. That's my way of having intimacy. So the other thing to realize in intimacy is, are you compatible? And is there a way in which you can become more compatible with your needs and his needs? Now, my husband and I are pretty compatible. A lot of other people would think that maybe we are a little too aloof. Hey, I'm Aquarius. We're talking winter time. We're talking cold. And he tends to like to be by himself a lot. And so I think that maybe we spend less time together than other couples would be comfortable with. You need to find what works for you. What is the level of time comfort that works for you? Now, somebody gave a statistic like, 25%. I don't know. But, of course, we sleep together, so that's probably at least 30% of the time already. So maybe that counts. And it's important. I don't know. Some people don't sleep together. For me, it's important. Doing snuggling, that's really creates that sense of intimacy, because these bodies need that touch. Hear me again. These bodies need that touch. We need that intimacy. We are social creatures and we are wired to bond. So intimacy is part of our own need for health. And if you can't get it, if you're not in a relationship, then you have to not necessarily have sex with your friends, but get that touch, get those hugs, because we need that. And oh my gosh, we are right in the middle still of this lockdown, aren't we? How are you getting your touch? Well, if you have an animal, touch your animal. These bodies need physical love and nurturance. So you need to give your body that kind of appreciation. I am going to be doing a talk next Friday, not this Friday, but what is it, the 26th, on a Facebook group like this one, but somebody else's, and Zoom. And I will post in the chat of this Facebook Live the Zoom link, so that if you want to join us, it's going to be a conversation on how to manage connections and the grief of loss that's happened during the pandemic, looking at both the social impact and the personal impact. So I hope you can join me for that. And if you are interested in more information about me, please go to my website, secondchancesecrets.com, and read some of my blogs. There are some videos there, and see whether or not you would like to have a conversation with me. I would love to talk with you more. And I will be back. Please come back. I'm going to be posting in my Facebook group, which is called Share Your Brilliance Trainings, more of these Facebook Lives on relationships this month. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do with March, but every month I'm going to have a general theme, and every week I'm going to focus on a specific area of that topic. So of course this week is about intimacy in relationships. Let me see if I missed any relationships that we need to think about. So I've talked about relationships, intimate relationships with your partner and your family, and friends. So yes, I said, oh yeah, I kind of dropped off of that subject, didn't I? Intimate with your friends. Yes, you may want to invite close friendships with your girlfriends, where you can talk about yourself and share, and it's give and take, and have fun time together, do things together. Have them in your circle of connections. This will help during the pandemic. Do you need to wear a mask? Well, you have to be intelligent about this and not just kind of go off and do anything at all. How often are you exposing yourself to being infected? Actually, I and my husband do very little at all. We stay at home most of the time, and when I go out walking, there's always 6 or more feet distance between me and other people, plus I carry a mask. Generally, when friends come and visit, we wear masks, except when we're eating. And we keep our distance. Oh my gosh, isn't it amazing to see somebody's face after all these months of looking at masks? So intimacy might be that you have friends in which you don't wear masks. Maybe you still keep the 6-foot distance, but you don't wear masks. Maybe that is, in fact, thank you, yes. In fact, my niece, who is of dating age and does not have a permanent relationship, talks about the environment of dating in the pandemic and how you start out on maybe one of these groups online, and you start exchanging emails, and then maybe you start to reveal yourself on Zoom and what you look like, and then you meet with masks, maybe at a coffee shop, and at some point you know you've moved to the next level of intimacy when you go without masks, because that's trusting. And of course, I trust my husband. Heck, we sleep together. We don't wear masks around each other. But who else do you feel comfortable not wearing a mask with? And at the same time, what do you do to make sure that you are protected, that you are taken care of? So that is the fine line of intimacy. Where do you feel safe? And if you take care of yourself, if you do everything that I talked about, taking care of your body and boosting your immune system and getting out and walking, you're a lot more resilient and a lot more able to handle anything that comes across your path. That's the plan. Then you can afford intimacy. All right, I'm getting a little dry. Thank you so much for supporting me and being on this call today. You have an awesome rest of the week, and try out some of the ideas I shared with you about intimacy, and please come back, report to me. Tell me, how did it work? How is taking care of yourself making it easier for you to get more intimate with your loved ones? That's it for today. Be brilliant. And bye for now.